This might sound like the most trivial thing in the world, but Australians have a genuine knack for making poker machines and games. It starts with the Ainsworth family and Lenny Ainsworth, to be sure. They set up Aristocrat, and then when the family split, Ainsworth Gambling as well. Maybe it's our history with poker machines in pubs and clubs, but Australia continues to have a thriving industry of artists, computer engineers and games developers, and the products, they're sold all over the world. Light & Wonder is another one of those companies. Though it's based in Las Vegas, it has an Australian CEO and an Australian stock market listing. And this week I spoke with its chief executive, Matt Wilson, at the recent Australasia Gaming Expo and just got him to explain the company to me.
Light & Wonder is a gaming company that's headquartered out of the US. It has a secondary listing in Australia. I think the best way to think about Light & Wonder is we make games like the slot machines you see behind you, and we take them to these three very unique but complementary businesses, which are land-based gaming, so pubs and clubs in Australia, casinos all over the world, into the social casino space, which is mobile free-to-play, so on your phone playing for virtual currency. And then also the third business is our iGaming business, which is digital gaming, which is prevalent in the US and also in the UK and EU markets. So yeah, Light & Wonder is a new incarnation of an old business that was rebranded to Light & Wonder about 3 years ago and listed on the ASX here just a year ago, May of 23.
All right, so Australians would know of the Ainsworths, Australians would know of Aristocrat. Your history is with Aristocrat, and then you've come out into this business.
Yes.
So is that part of the reason why you chose to list here in Australia?
Yeah, I mean, gaming in Australia is a great global success story. Kind of companies like Aristocrat and Ainsworth have been very successful. Some of the best thinking around this industry is Australian. I've worked all over the world in the gaming industry here in Australia, lived in Asia for 5 years, lived in the US for the last 13 years, and wherever you go in the gaming industry, an Aussie accent invariably turns up. So you know, that really is the people who design these games, the people who build the hardware, the people who run the businesses, the people who operate the casinos. There's really Australians punch above their weight in the gaming sector. That also extends to investors. You know, investors in Australia really know the category. Have had a lot of success investing in great Australian companies like Ainsworth and Aristocrat over the years. So that was really a primary reason why we wanted to come to the Australian market. You know, we were pulled by investors to the ASX as an option to invest in.
Okay, so just explain the background of that, the people coming out in this industry, the creative minds that come up with these games. You say a lot of them are in Australia.
Yes.
Who's training them? Who's building them to create these games?
I'd say like the real profile of a designer of these games lends itself to being a mathematician. It's really how do the games work, what's the frequency of the way these games operate. Some people come at it from an art background. But yeah, it's really mathematics and art. There's art and science that go into building these games. So yeah, a unique cadre of talent that build these games. There's not an infinite number of them. There's a handful of them around the world that do this at a really exceptional level. We benefit from hiring many of those. There's others with the competitors. But yeah, a unique skill set to design the games that you see behind you here.
So tell me about the difference of running a company that is listed in the United States versus one that's listed here in Australia.
Yes.
Australian investors love dividends, American investors love growth. Your business, I know, has actually got, in Australian terms, a large amount of debt sitting on its balance sheet. How do you work that?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic for us because we are NASDAQ listed as our primary listing, but 26% of the company's capital is issued on the Australian ASX market. So we're really serving kind of two universes of investors, US investors and Australian investors, and there's a slight nuance to that. I think we have a gearing range approved by the board at 2.5 to 3.5 times leverage. We're at 3 times leverage, so right in the middle of that range. We're generating a lot of cash that we could pay down the debt and get the leverage lower in that range. But US investors would say anywhere below our 2.5 point is a lazy balance sheet. They want you to lever up and drive growth, where Australian investors with the franking credits like dividend yields. So you're trying to just marry that strategy up to both sets of investors. It doesn't present a challenge, but it gives us some nuances to think through. So we're very comfortable with where our leverage is at the moment. We're investing for growth. We're a company that has reach to global markets. It's a technology and gaming business that's growing really nicely. We just launched our Q2 earnings last week. We grew 12% at the top line in terms of revenue, 17% at the EBITDA line. So growing really fast as an organisation, and some of that's due to the investments that we're making.
Okay, so then tell me about the actual market. Where is it growing? I'd imagine, in my mind, that it must be growing online, that really the actual machines, the likes of the way in which Vegas can grow, the way in which clubs and pubs here in Australia can grow, that reaches a saturation point.
Sure.
But when it comes to online,
yes,
the growth is exponential.
That's exactly right. So the land-based business, so pubs and clubs and casinos around the world, is our largest business today. It's about 70% of our profits. It's growing nicely. They grew double digit in the second quarter year on year. We see expansion across jurisdictions in the US, but importantly, we're taking share. We're building better games and taking leadership positions. In fact, we just took the #1 position in the Australian market with 45% share in the first half of this year. Historically, we've been a 7 to 10% share player, so dramatic improvement in the Australian market. But you're exactly right, taking these games that we build here on slot machines, or pokies as we call them, into the digital channels is a great tailwind for us. So we're seeing growth both across the social casino business, which is a virtual currency mobile free-to-play product on your phone, and then also in the explosive growth we're seeing in the iGaming market in the US. So in the US, 7 states have legalized iGaming, which is digital forms of these products. But there's 50 states in the US, so there's lots of legalization to happen over the coming years. So I would say hyper-growth optionality for that business over time.
Matt Wilson, great to chat to you. Many thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Today.
Thank you.